Welcome back, beautiful and amazing, spiritually inclined, in the know human beings, to the We Are Change Sunday recap video, where we give you all the important news that happened this week that you should know about, but the full truth behind them is probably being denied to you in some way by the US mainstream media corporatocracy. So today is October 8th, 2017, and in this video we are going to be talking about how YouTube is destroying the dreams of hardworking, independent people in exchange for more corporatocracy, a major politically connected media mogul that violates people sexually, what a surprise there, more news about the war machine, US foreign policy when it comes to Syria, North Korea, and Donald Trump, and then of course we're also going to get into the Catalan Independence Day, which is supposed to happen tomorrow. Now, just 2 days ago, I made a very important video talking about the new YouTube changes to their algorithm, where they admitted they're going to be trying to stop people from watching videos about supposed conspiracy theories regarding the Las Vegas shooting. And I told you guys, this algorithm change is not just going to affect the crazy fringe people who make up theories out of nowhere, but will affect everyone, who of course doesn't bow down and give fellatio to the corporate overlords. And that's exactly what's happening, as even Phillip Defranco, one of the most prominent YouTubers, tweeted, "Dear YouTube, your response is BS. It's not true. People are tired of this. Be better." In response to another YouTuber who made a video specifically raising all the AdSense money that he got from that video for the victims of the Las Vegas shooting, who was promptly demonetized by YouTube, which then YouTube responded saying, "We love what you're doing to help, but no matter the intent, our policy is not to run ads on videos about tragedies." Which of course is an outright lie, as Jimmy Kimmel's ABC conglomerate news organization video with him talking about the mass shooting in Las Vegas is still monetized. Even very popular toe-the-line YouTubers who are not a part of the corporate conglomerate are being affected by this, which should make everyone understand, unless you're living under a rock, that YouTube has now replaced the U with the Ministry of Truth, brought to you by mega corporations, Tube. And they're even going further with their censorship by even removing private playlists that people made, totally deleting them when they are a list of Las Vegas shooting videos that question the event. Personally, we've also been hit by this, as the last 4 videos I did have all been demonetized. And yeah, I know, this sucks. It needs to be called out. Will something change? Probably not. So definitely expect more finagling of our independent media organization on this platform. This is why we also moved to BitChute and DTube, and need to rely on you, the viewer, to go to wearechange.org/donate to keep us independently running, either through PayPal or mail checks or Bitcoin, because honestly, if it wasn't for random people just being generous and deciding to give $5 a month to this independent media organization, we would not exist. So you guys are more important than ever as we try to navigate and still continue to do our job as best as we can through the minefield of censorship brought to you by the mainstream media corporate overlords who want to censor us and hurt us even more. Now, moving forward in other mass media, big money, horrible corporate news, we have shocking news coming about Harvey Weinstein, who is a major media mogul who is very well politically connected, and now is putting the Obamas and Clintons in a very tough spot. Because this week, we learned that this media mogul, one of Hollywood's most prominent producers and executives, has sexually harassed, abused, and controlled women for the past 3 decades. And because he had vast wealth and power, he was able to keep this secret for over 30 years with NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and contracts that he would pay off his victims, so of course no one would find out about the horrible things he did. By the way, this was a person who not only lived next door to Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton even used this man with his connections to Hollywood, even his house, for private fundraisers with A-list Hollywood celebrities. This is a man that visited Obama in the White House over 13 times, that even Michelle Obama publicly declared him as a wonderful human being. And to make the situation worse, Obama's own daughter even personally worked for this monster, who, by the way, hired a very powerful legal team to even stop the New York Times from releasing this information to the public, which now prompted the New York Times to ask of the release of the NDAs, the legal binding document that prevents his victims from speaking out against him in a court of law. Now, of course, because this man is so powerful, we're not even finding out the full extent of his criminal behavior, but there's more disturbing details coming out, like the fact that he once trapped a woman in a hallway of a restaurant that was closed to the public and masturbated in front of her until he ejaculated. And sadly, a lot of the victims are fearful of the power that Weinstein wielded in media and have remained silent. Now, face value, this guy's a monster, but the case gets even worse as we're finding out that he also wrote op-eds protecting other media figures who were sexual predators and called for their release. And he even responded with a letter against these, quote, accusations, in which this man proved he has no semblance of any reality by plugging his movie that he's going to be making against Donald Trump, which was supposed to be done with Michael Moore, and trying to shift the blame against the NRA, saying that he's going to give them his full attention and do his best to make sure that the head of the NRA will, quote, enjoy his retirement party, which he's going to do at the same place that he had his bar mitzvah. And then he went on to quote Jay-Z for some reason. Yeah, if there's anything we could get an understanding from this case is how some of the rich and powerful think that they could do anything and get away with anything just because of their money. And if we ever had a fair U.S. justice system, they would, of course, focus on the elite criminality in our society. The more powerful an individual becomes, the more likelihood there is for abuse. Now, moving forward in more abuse of power news, we have U.S. President Donald Trump, who just a few days ago, with the top brass of the U.S. military behind him, gave us these ominous comments.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm?
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint of your
Now, of course, Donald Trump has been tight-lipped after making those comments. Many people are speculating it could be in regards to the Iran nuclear deal, which the decision is coming down on soon. Some people are saying it's a hint at war with North Korea, since Donald Trump took to his Twitter yesterday and said sorry, but only one thing will work, after talking about the failed diplomatic relations between the US and North Korea, which, by the way, when 1,446 random Americans were polled, can't even find it on the world map. But yet still, while 36% of Americans on average cannot find North Korea on the map, we still have 40% of Americans that support the bombing and war with North Korea. And I don't know about you, but more war, more entanglements overseas, I don't think are making America great again or putting America first. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. And the news gets worse, as we're also finding out that a fourth U.S. soldier was just killed in Africa, in the country of Niger, after another deadly ambush on U.S. troops. Which makes me ask the question, why the hell are U.S. troops fighting in Niger right now? Seriously, that's a serious question. What's the fake reason that they put out there for the U.S. general public, and what's the real reason? I don't know. If you want me to make a video about this and do more research about this, also let me know in the comment section below. And in other putting our troops in harm's way for what news, we also find out 4 days ago that the U.S. is going to be sending more than 3,000 U.S. troops to Afghanistan now. And for what? To continue the same mission that was started by George W. Bush 16 years ago, which failed over and over and over again, while increasing the world's population of opium all over the entire world, indebting our country and losing men and service women of this country for what? I was telling you guys this was going to happen. While I got flack for calling it out a couple weeks ago, other people decided to believe other alternative media that was telling you it was really a drawdown. In reality, it's not. Also this week, to spread more democracy and freedom all over the world, the U.S. State Department just approved a $15 billion sale of advanced THAAD anti-missile defense systems to Saudi Arabia. You know, the same country that just this week beheaded 3 more people. The same country that the United States just sided with and failed to condemn when it comes to the death penalty for gay people in their country. What else do you need to know about U.S. foreign policy except for that they're just selling the most advanced military technology to a despotic country like Saudi Arabia? That, of course, financed, supported the rise of al-Nusra, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other radical Islamic terrorist groups all over the world, which, by in fact, this week we also found out that a majority of them are surrendering in mass. Right now in Iraq, where over 1,000 ISIS fighters have turned themselves into the authorities and will face repercussions for their horrible actions. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, we're supported by Israel, the United States, and Saudi Arabia, which even Russia officially declared this week, as they have officially accused the United States of helping ISIS inside of Syria. And now, in a very shocking geopolitical news update, this week, we're also finding out that Russia and Saudi Arabia announced a $1 billion energy military deal that will also grant Russia's advanced military technology, allowing them to buy the Russian S-400 surface-to-air missile systems to Saudi Arabia, which not only creates a new Middle East dynamic, but totally reverses Russia's foreign policy when they were butting heads with Saudi Arabia, when they were involved in a proxy war inside of Syria. This is a major geopolitical shift on the world stage, which I could only understand as a Russian strategic move trying to court Saudi Arabia to advance the de-dollarization war against the petrodollar that Russia and China have been having against the United States, an economic war that hinges on Saudi Arabia's compliance with the United States, and Saudi Arabia trading oil on US dollars. That's just my personal opinion, as Russia has been supporting and backing many countries around the world who are making geopolitical economic moves against the United States. I might be wrong, but if I am, let me know in the comment section below. And now, in other confusing news around the world, we have a very interesting situation developing in Barcelona right now, and after a recent vote for independence by the Catalan people, which was marked by violence by the police, people are asking the question, what's going to happen next? 4 days ago, Catalan leaders said after the vote that they would declare independence this Monday, October 9th, away from the Spanish government. The Spanish government responded by suspending the Catalan parliament in wake of the independence vote to prevent this from happening. We're learning from European press agencies that Spanish commandos have deployed in Catalan and are ready to seize key infrastructure if Catalonia does declare independence. Right now, as we're speaking, there's a protest inside of Barcelona with people calling for Catalan to stay with Spain, with some of the protest members openly performing the fascist salute. And ultimately, really, the situation is still very up in the air and very tense to see what will develop, but we will be following it closely on this YouTube channel. So yeah, that's the news for this week. Sorry, I wish I could be more optimistic. Yeah, that's what's happening around the world. The truth is not always pleasant, but I would still rather prefer to be awake than asleep. If you enjoyed this program, share it with your friends and family members. Don't forget to support us on wearechange.org/donate, because gosh darn, if you don't, no one else will. Thank you again so much for watching. I love you guys.